Welcome to the Megacast, our live local TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines across the Great Lakes state today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top story comes from Charles E. Ramirez at the Detroit News. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office is asking the public for help in its search for the driver of a vehicle that struck and killed a 22-year-old man in Shelby Township on New Year's Day in Oakland Township. At this time, investigators believe that the driver is an Asian American woman in her mid-30s, in a 2012 to 2019 model BMW Series 30, in possible white, gray, or silver coloring. What should you be looking for if you see a similar vehicle or even a vehicle with similar drivers in them as described in this article? Damage to the hood and particularly the front bumper, missing entirely the right grille, and part of the left grille also is damaged. Officials say the incident occurred as the victim, Benjamin Cable, was walking or standing in the southbound lane of Rochester Road just south of Wims Lane at 5:49 a.m. on Sunday morning when the vehicle allegedly struck him and fled the scene. Cable was then pronounced dead on site. Anyone with information that may lead to an arrest or aid in the investigation should call Crime Stoppers of Michigan at 1-800-SPEAK-UP. That's 1-800-SPEAK-UP. Information leading to an arrest may also come with a reward of upwards of $1,000. Also making headlines today from Bridge, Michigan's Paula Gardner. Some of the largest companies in Michigan faced tough financial results in 2022, with values of the largest companies dropping over $120 billion. That's an average of a $10 billion loss per company amongst the top 12 publicly traded companies in the Great Lakes state after a year chock full of financial crises in the supply chain and, of course, with the impact of inflation across the economy. According to analysis in this article, these companies were hit harder than the average publicly traded companies in the U.S., faring worse than the market benchmark of the Standard & Poor's 500, which fell just short of 20% over the past year. Now they enter 2023 with fears that the end of the current financial crisis may not be anywhere near, and that the nation could face a recession in this calendar year. That potential recession is considered by many forecasters to be mild, should it occur at all, according to economists that are forecasting the 2023 financial outlook for the economy. In terms of where companies stand atop the food chain in Michigan, General Motors stands as the number 2 overall publicly traded company in the state, behind medical device business Stryker out of Kalamazoo. GM also saw losses in 2022, with their stock value falling 45%. A similar outcome also occurred for Ford, who lost 47% of its stock value as well. Despite all the losses, 4 of Michigan's top 12 publicly traded companies saw gains in 2022, including grocer Spartan Nash, which owns different grocery outlets such as D&W, which you commonly will see on the west side of the state, the Kellogg Company, and Penske Automotive amongst those 4. Plenty more to explore in this article, and I mean plenty more. Just a ton of detail in here, statistics, graphs, and more analysis that goes into the losses amongst the top publicly traded companies in the state of Michigan in 2022. All you got to do is go to CivicCenterTV.com, click on our local news link, go to this headline: value of Michigan's largest public companies dropped by over $120 billion in 2022. That will take you directly to this article from Bridge, Michigan, and you can read more about the supporting materials and the immense detail that Paula Gardner put into this reporting for Bridge, Michigan. Just great journalism here from Paula Gardner, exploring some of the financial woes of Michigan's top companies in 2022. Finally, making headlines today on our local news page on CivicCenterTV.com from Nora Rahal at the Detroit Free Press. Some good news: winter fun in the D will return this month with the return of Detroit Winterfest at the Adams Butzel Complex in Detroit, all presented by Detroit Parks and Rec. This is going to occur on January 14th from noon to 4 p.m., kicking off its second year with family fun for everyone, including food trucks, open skate with the Detroit Red Wings, a winter arcade, and the kiddie zone for those 3 and under. Officials are expecting quite the turnout, predicting over 2,000 people to attend this one-day event. You can learn more information about all the fun and make your plans to attend this event on January 14th at detroitmi.gov/events/winter-fest-2023, or just go to your favorite search engine of choice and search Detroit Winterfest 2023 to learn more information. Another great place to learn more is right from this article. Again, civiccentertv.com. Click on our local news page. Click on this headline or on the thumbnail picture that includes the flyer for Winterfest 2023, the second annual event, and you'll learn a lot more detail. Find information directly from this article from Nora Rahal at the Detroit Free Press. All of these headlines, as well as all of our news from this week, on our website, civiccentertv.com, on our local news page, along with links at the top of the page for updated COVID-19 information from the CDC, the MDHHS, and locally from the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Thursday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll be joined by the CEO of JARC, Shaindle Braunstein, that's with us on the other side of this short break. This is the Megacast.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
When you have a gambling problem, you have a money problem. Don't let your gambling cause you financial hardship. If you or someone you love is struggling with gambling, we can help. Get free confidential counseling and win your life back. Learn more at michigan.gov/problemgambling.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu.
Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is safe and effective. And with COVID-19 still around,
it's essential. Together we can face flu season head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
Wake up, Greater West Bloomfield. Start your mornings with The Splash and tune in for The Splash Live. Get acquainted with people, places, and activities that are live, local, and for you. First thing in the morning, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. on our Civic Center TV YouTube page, or watch us live at Civic Center TV or on Facebook. The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live update show.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. You'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including our co-flagship, My Michigan TV, and find all of our full programs and each individual interview segment on demand, so you can watch us on your time if you're not able to join us each and every day, Monday through Friday, live from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. across our network. civiccentertv.com/megacast, the place to go for all of that information. Joining us now on the Megacast is the CEO of JARC. Shaindle Braunstein is with us once again on the program today. Shaindle, thanks for being with us.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for inviting me to be here again.
Yeah, glad to have you on with us once again. For those that aren't familiar with JARC and the work that this organization does, give us a little bit of an overview about the services that are provided and the resources provided through your organization.
Absolutely. So JARC is a 501c3 based in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, and we're a provider of residential services to adults with cognitive impairments and developmental disabilities. In essence, we want to make sure that every person, regardless of their abilities, gets to live a full and productive life.
You find more information on their website, jarc.org for more information. And these individuals that you're serving, they need a variety of different supports to be able to achieve these hallmarks of regular everyday life for people like you and
Absolutely.
I that maybe are not in these sorts of situations. So give us a little bit more detail and elaborate on the extent of the services that you're providing to these individuals and just how much of a difference that they make in these people's lives.
Right. So again, I would say we start first with the person, and there's no one size fits all for the variety of services that we provide. Obviously, we want to make sure that someone has the level of supports that they need, but not a level of support that becomes invasive in regards to maintaining their independence. So there are folks who we serve. Again, some might need just a little bit of assistance. Perhaps it's grocery shopping, it's budgeting, it's planning healthy meals, and that might be a couple of hours a day, and then they're really able to maintain their self sufficiency with that. For others that we serve, I would say on the other end of the spectrum, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for people who, without our assistance, are not able to feed themselves, are not able to bathe themselves. But really, for every individual that we serve, there must be, and there always is, the component of person centeredness, meaning I, as an individual, as a human being with rights and desires and needs, can establish how I want to live, where I want to live, who I want to live with, and what I want to be involved in my community. If that means that I'd like to take a class, we're going to make that happen. If that means that I'd like to attend a concert, we're going to make that happen. If that means that I simply would like to go to the movies and out to dinner, we're going to make that happen. And all of that is in tandem and in addition to the community that we have built amongst the people that JARC serves and the greater community, where we have a variety of events and concerts and things happening all the time so that we can consistently maintain the element of choice, but so that people can also have lots of good choices to make.
And who are these services provided to then, Shaindle? Who qualifies to be able to inquire about and receive some of these assistances from JARC?
Right. So we work with community mental health. We are actually one of the larger community mental health providers in Oakland County. And what that means is that, again, through the county, through the state of Michigan, and with federal funding, persons who qualify for services qualify through medical necessity. And that means that because of my disability, it has been identified that I can use some additional supports to make sure I am truly included in community and safe, of course, and have assistance with activities of daily living. So any person who qualifies for those services, and that's something that can be explored again through community mental health, would have the option to choose JARC as their provider. And then through part of the planning process, it would be determined, can this person perhaps live in their own apartment? Might they need to live in a supervised setting, but a supervised setting that allows them perhaps to be on their own for several hours a day? Or does this person really need to be in a setting where there's staff available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
We're joined on the Megacast today by Shaindle Braunstein, the CEO of JARC. You can find more information on this nonprofit by visiting their website at jarc.org, jarc.org, JARC.org for more information, including on their services and beyond, as they continue to do this great work in the Oakland County area and for those here in Lower Michigan. And Shaindle, how are these programs then funded? Of course, you're a nonprofit, so a lot of that's going to be donations, but you also have these partnerships in the community too with these organizations. But I would imagine this is quite the undertaking for these individuals coming into your organization and receiving these critical services that aren't easy to get in contact with.
That's huge. And again, as a not for profit, right, we are heavily reliant on philanthropy. That said, we are fortunate because we are a community mental health provider. And here in Oakland County, and I would say in the state of Michigan as a whole, there is recognition that these services are critical. And not even speaking to life enhancement, but to safety. So we're fortunate that roughly 80% of our budget comes from the state of Michigan through Medicaid dollars that flow through the federal government programs. That said, those dollars pay for basic needs, right? Shelter and safety. And when we talk about a life, our tagline actually is, who wants to live an 80% life? I wouldn't want to. Why should someone else? So the philanthropy dollars, the other 20%, provides all of the extras. And by extras, that means every single one of our homes has its own van, which has adequate spots and accessibility for every person. In some cases, that may mean a lift van with multiple wheelchair spots. Every home has access to all of our events, which have ranged from a custom evening and dinner with the DSO to picnics to concerts to monthly bingo, baking classes, cooking classes, art classes. All of those extras are paid entirely through philanthropy. So the fundraising piece is really critical because it allows us to create quality of life.
Joined by Shaindle Braunstein on today's edition of the Megacast, the CEO of JARC. You can find more information on their website, jarc.org, JARC.org, to learn more about this nonprofit organization based out of Bloomfield Hills. And Shaindle, you and JARC were honored at the end of 2022, receiving Crain's Detroit Business Notable Women in Nonprofits. That prestigious honor went to you. And then the organization also received additional awards too for their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. So let's start off, by just going over some of those DEI initiatives that have been undertaken by your organization that ultimately put JARC in a position to be recognized for its efforts in our community.
Right. So actually, we're really excited about that. And we're really excited to be recognized. But most importantly, I'm so excited that the work has borne the fruits that allow for that recognition. So this is a classic conundrum, especially for organizations that have been around a long time. And JARC has been around for 53 years. We'll be celebrating our 54th anniversary in 2023. You can fall into patterns of, well, we've always done it this way, so we should continue to do it this way. And one of the most important things in considering new possibilities is to provide the opportunity for new ideas and new thought processes. We also looked at our workplace and we wanted to be representative of the people that we serve. And we serve people of all ages, we serve people of all races, we serve people of all ethnicities, we serve people of all sexual orientations, and therefore our workforce needs to be representative of that diversity. So our focus wasn't, again, on saying, well, this is our diversity candidate, but again, recognizing that diversity in all of those categories, in addition to diversity of age and the diversity of thought process, was critical to our success. It tends to be, especially in director level and above positions for larger not-for-profits, that we want someone who has 20 years, right? 25 years, 30 years of experience with a not-for-profit in that specific discipline. We thought about it differently. And we said, what if somebody has the skills and the acumen and the drive to do this position, but they're coming at it from a different place? And that means they'll bring new ideas and new perspective. And my direct reports are all under 40, and most of them are under 35. I think we actually recently celebrated a couple of 30th birthdays again for some of that team. And again, I think they bring fresh perspective. They bring new ideas, and they're not coming into anything from a set concrete thought pattern, which has allowed all of us to be better.
And these are awards and recognitions that aren't necessarily what's being sought after by a nonprofit organization or by a CEO like yourself. So being that you are the leader of this organization and that so many people have been involved in these efforts and making them happen and making this new way of operating JARC be the way of the future. Speak to that and how it feels for you and others in the organization to receive this recognition from Crain's Business of Detroit for the efforts that have been made by your organization, especially in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Right. So for myself personally, it's incredibly gratifying to know that I'm part of a team that is allowing every single person to have a voice. I've been fortunate in my life to have wonderful mentors. I've been especially fortunate to be mentored by women in leadership positions. And incidentally, my first job was at Crain's Detroit business. So this is very full circle for me. And I had a mentor years ago who told me, and she was 100% right. I've tried to live to this, that when you give somebody else a chance to be front and center, the spotlight doesn't move away from you. It expands, right? And that level of light expands to cover everybody in the room. And that every time we champion someone, every time we give somebody an opportunity, we're not only giving them an opportunity, we're increasing our own opportunity again by bringing different perspective to the table. So it's just incredibly gratifying to know not only do we have this recognition, but when I think of myself and the opportunities that were provided to me, and it can be challenging, I think that we all know this, to be a woman seeking a leadership position sometimes. And I certainly, I think we all have our war stories to tell. But at the end of the day, I've been given a chance, many chances, to find my seat at the table. And I've been able to achieve so much because of the opportunities that others gave me. And I want to feel like I've given them opportunity as well by bringing my perspective, by bringing my ideas, and helping again to craft change that's meaningful and wonderful. So to know that that's happening for this team and to know that that's going to pay it forward because every single person that we've now given a chance to sit at this table and share their ideas is going to bring something special, not just to JARC, but to the community and to other people that they interact with. I would also say equity does not mean that, right, I give you something. People often confuse equity and say, well, great, so that means you're going to give something that rightfully or deservedly belongs to someone else. And you're going to say, well, this person deserves equity. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Equity means equal opportunity. If nobody ever has a chance, I'll use a sports analogy, to stand there, if somebody throws the ball and see if they can hit a home run, how do we know if they can do it or not? So we have to provide every single person whatever they need to have that opportunity. What they do with it from there is up to them. But you'd be amazed at what happens when we provide that chance.
Yeah, another analogy that I saw once, I don't recall what the outlet was or who posted it, but I remember seeing this, and it was a great description of the meaning of equity. It was two people that are trying to climb the same platform. One was very tall, one was rather short, and they both had the same size ladder. Well, in this case, the person that's taller is going to be able to get up that ladder maybe a little, doesn't really quite need that much of the ladder to then grab onto the top of the platform and pull themselves the rest of the way up. The other person would need that in that scenario to make it the same distance. So if you give them the same size of a ladder to climb that platform, realistically speaking, it's going to be an advantage to the taller person. So what should happen is the taller person gets a little bit shorter of the ladder because they don't need as much space and they can still get up there just fine. Give a taller ladder to maybe the person that's a little shorter in stature, and both have that equal opportunity to advance themselves in that particular area and get to the top of that platform. I think that really does a great job of explaining the difference between equality and equity, and those come into play so much in our society. We've certainly had so many really tough and important conversations in that regard over the past few years, and appreciate all the work that you're doing in your organization to make that a reality with JARC.
It's a great analogy and very true.
Appreciate having you on today, Shaindle. Before we let you go, I want to give you a chance. Anything else that you would like to say, or any other topics related to JARC that we haven't discussed that our audience should know?
So I would end by saying that regardless if you need services from JARC, there is a seat for everyone at our table. Inclusion is our work. Therefore, it's what we live, and inclusion means there's a seat for everybody at our table. So if you'd like to get involved, whether it's just attending our events as a community member, which we love for people to do, volunteering, doing advocacy work. We have so many spaces, for that. And again, tremendous opportunity. We'd love to have you with us. And then, of course, I would be remiss as the CEO of a not-for-profit not to say that every gift given to JARC is really going, again, more than 95% of that is going directly to programs. So again, it's significant, I know, for donors to know that when they're giving to an organization, that it's not, going to the administrative, going to the overhead. And for JARC, again, our administrative cost is less than 5%. And that really means that your dollars are going to make a difference in somebody's life in a significant way.
Shaindle, appreciate you joining us, telling us more about all that's going on with JARC. And of course, congratulations on both yours and the organization's recent recognitions from Crain's.
Great. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me again. I love being here.
Always appreciate having you on. JARC.org is their website to learn more information. JARC.org is their website. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, I got some things to say about our Detroit Lions going into a big weekend this weekend as they've been flexed to 8:20 p.m. on Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers with a chance to turn their season around from a 1-6 losing record, looking like nothing was going to happen this year. And it was going to be those same old Lions and a chance to prove they are the brand new Lions and maybe make the NFL playoffs in the wild card position. That and more sports topics coming up next as I give my take on all of that here on the Megacast.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
Ronnie started doing prescription pills at the age of 15, and by 19, he died. If your child is struggling with drug use, try not to be too proud to reach out for help. Don't be worried about what the neighbor will think or your family. Just get your child the help they need. Sometimes it's the hard road to take, but the hard road is nothing compared to living with the fact that your child is no longer with you.
There's hope and help at drugfree.org.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream lives on with United We Walk, an event that celebrates Dr. King Jr.'s birthday by embracing unity, diversity, and acceptance. Volunteer, participate, or donate to bolster your community and engage with your fellow citizens. For more information, scan the QR code on screen or go to unitedwewalk.org. Show your support Sunday, January 15th, 2023, from 1 to 3 p.m. at the new West Bloomfield Middle School.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can learn more information about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. And you'll find not only links to all of our partnering stations, but also find all of our full shows and each individual interview on demand as well. Well, after starting 1-6 in the first 7 weeks of the NFL football season, the Detroit Lions are entering week 18 with a 500 record, 8-8 overall. And should they win this Sunday against the Green Bay Packers, and a couple other things need to go their way along the journey, they will be in the NFL playoffs as the wild card in the NFC, finishing with a 9-8 overall record on the season. And as I said, a couple other things need to go their way. The Seattle Seahawks need to lose on Sunday in order for the Lions to even have a chance. Same thing with the Packers, of making the playoffs as the wild card. And that's going to come at the hands of Matthew Stafford's Los Angeles Rams. Now, Stafford may or may not play. He's been cleared to get back into game action. Most likely the quarterback for the Rams will be Baker Mayfield. But in these kinds of games, Baker Mayfield tends to show up. And in this case, it's kind of a double-edged sword for the Lions. They have the Rams first round pick. The Rams not having a very good season this year in the NFC either. And so for them, this game doesn't really mean a whole lot. Their season's pretty much at the end, as the Rams at this time sit at 5-11 going into week 18 with an injured quarterback, with a quarterback they've only had on their team for a few weeks. And Lions have a chance of having that pick potentially a top 10 pick should the Rams lose this week. What you should be rooting for if you are a Lions fan is that the Seattle Seahawks lose and the Los Angeles Rams finish their season with a 6-11 record. Yeah, knocks your draft pick down a little bit in the top part of the first round, but your Lions have a better chance of making the playoffs. But the most important thing for the Detroit Lions on Sunday, with this game now having all the eyes on it, being for all the marbles, flexed to Sunday Night Football on NBC at 8:20 for the kickoff against the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, is beating the Packers. The Packers also have an 8-8 overall record. The winner of this game is in prime position to make the playoffs should the Seattle Seahawks lose. That's all the more reason why the Lions need to get this win against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, a team that's similar to the Lions in the regard of a little bit of struggles earlier on in the season. But once they figured things out, right around about the week 5, week 6 point, once they started to make some strides forward, win a few games, they've been really able to figure things out together and play much, much better as a team. And so have the Detroit Lions. Other than that game on Christmas Eve against Carolina, where it seemed that they just didn't have any heart. They kind of gave up. Things didn't quite go their way. They didn't like the field conditions. It's tough. It's Christmas Eve. It's cold outside. You're not at home with your family. There's a lot on your mind. There's a lot of pressure there too. And credit to the Carolina Panthers. They came out with a head of steam and played a great game of football, pounding the ball in the running game. Their offensive line was excellent. Their defense shut down that Lions offense that had been on fire over the past few weeks before that. So you can't discount the play of the Carolina Panthers, but that game really coming back to haunt the Lions. And last weekend, their performance against the Chicago Bears showed they bounced back, and they bounced back big. Now, it's a great win. It was an emphatic win at Ford Field, their regular season finale at home in downtown Detroit, but it's against the Chicago Bears. This isn't a great team in its own right. At the bottom of the NFC North, now standing at 3-13 overall, including 1-7 on the road following that loss to the Detroit Lions. The Lions, on the other end of that, also with a losing record on the road, 3-4 overall, but a chance to bring that to 500, as they also could advance their record to 9-8 overall should they beat the Packers in week 18. As I said, both these teams very similar in how they've played throughout the season, how they've progressed throughout the season. And so it's going to come down to their Jimmies and Joes. Not so much the X's and O's in this regard. And for the Detroit Lions, on the offensive side, all eyes are always on the quarterback position. And Jared Goff, credit to him, has had an excellent season. I saw a graphic recently. I believe Woodward Sports was the one who had posted this. And it was a side-by-side of the overall statistics from 2011, when the Lions also had made the playoffs under quarterback Matthew Stafford, and this season's performance from Jared Goff. And the numbers are a little bit more favoring Matthew Stafford in that year. And they brought the question of whether or not you'd rather have this Lions offense versus that Lions offense. And that's a debate for another time. But Jared Goff has been excellent, especially in the second half of the season, limiting turnovers, making good decisions, getting his open men the ball. And as he tends to have done over the course of his career, being a well above average quarterback in play action scenarios, a very good quarterback, in fact, when the Lions and back in his days with the Rams as well are in play action situations. And this offensive line, one of the best in the entire league, also a huge benefit them. We saw that on Sunday with the running back performance from both DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, and the way that the Lions were able to get involved offensively and move down the field. Much different team you're playing on Sunday on the road in Green Bay, in that environment, one of the toughest to play at this time of the year in the National Football League. But there's a great stat here from Zach Cruz of the Packers Wire, who's their managing editor and writer off of Twitter at Zach Cruz 2. Lions are 7-1 when they do not turn the ball over, 1-7 when they have at least one turnover. Saw what happened in Carolina when they did have turnovers. Packers have 12 takeaways over the last 4 games. So that puts the Lions even more in that position where if they turn the ball over against these Green Bay Packers, they're going to be in some trouble. Jared Goff, however, 0 interceptions in the past 8 games. That is half of the season he's gone without an interception. The Packers have 6 interceptions in their own right in the last 2 games, and that's dangerous considering both the defensive back play as well as the linebacker play for the Detroit Lions. We saw last weekend some key interceptions and some key takeaways from the Detroit Lions at home against the Chicago Bears. So they have a real chance here. If you're a Detroit Lions fan, this is the best outcome you can think of for this particular team after they started 1-6 overall. And regardless of the outcome of this season, you should be very enthusiastic about the direction of this Lions team. That's all the more reason why I don't care what happens with that Los Angeles Rams pick. I'm rooting for the Rams. I'm going full Detroit Rams this weekend. We saw that in the Super Bowl last year. Hey, get our guy Matthew Stafford a win. People walking around in those god-awfully stupid Detroit Rams shirts. This time around, I'm in full support of it. We should all be Detroit Rams fans in the afternoon on Sunday and turn into Detroit Lions fans on Sunday evening as we hopefully see the coronation of the Putty Cats turning into the Lions and making the playoffs. They have a very solid chance of winning this game against the Green Bay Packers. That being said, they're going up against one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of football in Aaron Rodgers, a guy that has been an absolute killer against the Detroit Lions his entire career. And has been an absolute killer in these kinds of situations where, his back is against the wall. His team's back is against the wall. He's got to be the hero of this. He's in his environment with his guys. They finally have that chemistry, which maybe wouldn't put them in this position had Aaron Rodgers been at camp with his teammates, introducing himself to the rookies and some of these younger guys that were joining his receiving corps with the exit of Devontae Adams, his longtime receiving partner there in Green Bay over the offseason, instead of, being off in the back 40 doing ayahuasca or whatever else he was engaging in over the offseason. Maybe it'd be a different outcome. Maybe the Packers aren't in this situation, but they are. And the Lions, above all else, need to come into this game not letting their guard down. That's going to come down to leadership. And I really do believe this Lions team has this game in their favor because of the guys that are in those leadership positions. Jared Goff, in particular on that offensive line, Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker have had long careers here with the Lions, have seen a lot of down times and really want this. And I believe that they will keep their guys in check this time around. We won't have a Carolina situation, and it's going to have to happen that way if the Lions make the playoffs. Hey, look, maybe the Seahawks win in the afternoon on Sunday and none of this matters. If that's the case, so be it. The journey along the way has been excellent for these Lions. They have actual sense of direction now in where this team is going, and there's a lot of hope to be had. We're living in the bizarro world, Detroit sports fans, because the Detroit Lions are the best organization in the city right now. The Pistons are a dumpster fire. The Detroit Tigers are a dumpster fire within a dumpster fire inside of a building fire that is engulfed in flames and hot lava. That's the Detroit Tigers. And the Detroit Red Wings are close to being where the Lions are at this time. They have some direction, but are just kind of puttering in some regards, but making big strides. So much different situation in Detroit sports than we've had in recent years. But whether you're a big football fan or not, this is the weekend to be watching the Detroit Lions, to be rooting for them and to be rooting for our guy, Matthew Stafford, now a Los Angeles Ram, whether or not he plays on Sunday afternoon against the Seattle Seahawks. Time to hang up your Kenneth Walker III jerseys and give our Spartan dog a rest this weekend. We're rooting for the Detroit Rams, the Los Angeles Rams against the Seattle Seahawks, and hopefully a big win for the Putty Cats on Sunday in Green Bay. We got one final segment here today on the Megacast, as we're always excited to look into some new business or existing businesses that are doing cool and interesting things here in the Metro Detroit area. Recently, we spoke to Sarah Jacobs from the Robot Garage, their co-founder, about what they're doing what she and her team are doing to encourage STEM amongst all young people and make it fun and engaging in the process. Let's take a look at this recent interview from the Megacast. A place you can go for a little bit of fun with the family and get your kids involved with play and also with learning, especially in some of those STEM areas, is the Robot Garage, with 2 locations in the Metro Detroit area in both Rochester Hills and Birmingham. Joining us on the program today, the co-founder of the Robot Garage, Sarah Jacobs. Sarah, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Yeah, glad to have you on to talk about this. Really interesting what you do and the services that you provide. First off, just give us a little bit of a history of the Robot Garage and tell us about your locations in our local area.
So my family started this business in 2011. We have 3 daughters, and the oldest, Jane, was definitely heading into STEM. She was born to be an engineer and all those things, and there was no place in the area to do what she loved to do on a regular basis. My husband's an engineer. I hated math and science growing up. I felt like I was bad at all of that. And I followed my kid into business. So we started the Robot Garage. And since that time, I've learned to love math and science, along with about 100,000 kids in the area who have, taken our classes or gone to our camps or our field trips. And my daughter's now graduated from college, and I'm still at the Robot Garage.
And so, Sarah, of course, the Robot Garage, robots right in the name. It's something that you can interact with, or kids can interact with in these programs, in these camps, and more that you offer. But what's also a key element of what you provide is play with Legos. And when people think about Legos, they think about it's a children's toy. It's something that's been around for decades, for generations. But they're also really functional and can be used for a number of different teaching purposes as well. So why also add Legos into the fold in addition to robots?
Question. Lego actually got into the kids' robotic business in the late 1990s. They were really the first ones there. And from that came this huge competition. If you hear about those big robot competitions with kids every year, a lot of them are participating in this Lego-based robotics program. We have a great organization here called First in Michigan that heads up teams at every level and runs great competitions. And we kind of veer off where they do great competitions, and we do more day in and day out workshops, classes, camps. Lego is such a great portal of entry for all kids. Every kid loves Lego. One of the great things about it is there's nothing fragile about it. No matter what you do, it's going to come together. If it breaks, you can put it back together. So to take that base that's got no intimidation factor and start building robots with it is a natural. We teach video game design and coding, and we actually use video games as sort of another portal of entry. We like to meet kids where they are. They already love video games. Let's use that as a way to teach coding. They already love Lego. Let's use that as a way to teach engineering, robotics.
So, Sarah, what is it about these programs, these camps that you provide that helps to bridge some of those gaps? Because like you mentioned, your daughters, your husband, they were always into math and science, but you weren't an enthusiast of that. Many kids aren't naturally into those kinds of things. So how does your business then bridge those gaps and make it interesting and fun for these kids to have these learning experiences?
I think you asked exactly the right question. How do you make it interesting and fun? And we start with fun. We feel like, the statistics are still lousy. I think something like 60% of kids by 4th grade have decided they're not good at math and science, whatever that means. So on one hand, you've got this more formal, traditional education model. And then you've got this after school arena where the Robot Garage lives. And we can kind of do our own thing. So we focus on fun. We know our programs are good. We've designed all our curriculum in-house. The people who design the curriculum teach the programs, so they're constantly being tweaked and edited. But I think the greatest compliment we hear is when we'll be in a school doing a field trip and the principal will walk down the hall and say, "What is going on?" because of all the screaming. And they'll walk in and they'll say, "We've never seen 100% of our kids engaged before." And for us, that's a win. Different kids are going to pick up different lessons at each activity, but we are so committed to trying to make sure every child has fun and meeting kids where they are. Some kids may come to us with 3 years of robotics experience. We're there for them. Some kids may just want to try something. We have these one-day camps coming up for holidays in December. It's a great way to go spend a couple hours at the Robot Garage and just see what you think. Take a camp. We like tastings. We like to give kids introductions without making it too big of a commitment.
We're joined by Sarah Jacobs, the co-founder of the Robot Garage, on today's edition of the Megacast. You can find more information in a few ways, actually. The robotgarage.com is their website. You can also send them an email, programs@therobotgarage.com, or call them 248-723-9100, 248-723-9100, with locations in Rochester Hills and in Birmingham. And as we continue to talk about these programs that you provide, these different services that are provided by the Robot Garage, give us some more insight into that and elaborate on some of those programs so families can know, or educators can know, exactly what kind of things their kids can engage in at the Robot Garage.
So we do three main areas. We do after school classes. You can join every month. We have new classes starting. We have birthday parties, which are a really good way to get all kids involved. We see a lot of parents self-selecting. We see parents come in sometimes with their son for a Robot Garage class, and their daughter is definitely interested. We're very hands-on. You can see them playing with robots in the store, and they can't wait to, come in and play. But the parents will say, "Oh, we're going to ballet. Your brother goes here." So at birthday parties, that doesn't happen. You invite your neighborhood or you invite your class, and it's great because you just get a whole group of kids and they have so much fun. And then we do summer camps, 1 week summer camps, and we do 1 day holiday camps. The holiday camps coming up in December will only be at our Birmingham location, but we've got 3 different themes. There's a Lego Masters Pokemon theme. There is a video game design theme, and there is a robot battle theme. So they all have a good mixture of Lego and robots and coding. And then the other thing we do is, field trips. What I was going to say to you, it was when we were hit very hard for COVID, we are completely hands-on, and we totally shut down our locations. But what that did was it forced us to learn how to teach virtually, which we didn't think we could do, but we piloted our programs with a number of our really amazing families. And out of that grew a subscription program. So we, as of a year ago, started shipping monthly kits of Lego and Lego robot projects everywhere in the country. We've got people as far as California and Canada. And then that goes along with 3 hours of class time. We pre-record our classes, so a child can sit down at a kitchen table anywhere in the country on their own schedule and keep up with our classes, building their own Lego robots every month. And that's been, for us, an amazing discovery that kids can not only learn virtually with hands-on, but in a lot of cases, especially for different learners, the virtual is almost better because the child can go at their own pace. They can speed up the video if they want to go faster. They can slow it down and pause and rewind if they need more time with those fine motor skills at that age. We actually were so concerned the first time we started shipping that we were going to get calls from people all over the country who couldn't follow along, no matter how hard we tried. We've shipped thousands of kits at this point, and I think thousands of projects. We've only had 2 calls in a year for people asking for help. Everybody else it worked. So that was a great discovery for us.
You can find more information, including info on their subscription services and more, by going to their website, therobotgarage.com. Winter classes and other recurring classes throughout the year, as well as virtual programs, can also be found on their website. Again, that's therobotgarage.com. They have 2 locations, one in Birmingham, one in Rochester Hills. And Sarah, for you, you're a parent, and so you've seen this in your own kids, but also for those educators, for those other parents out there that bring their kids into your business, what is it like for you and for those that work at the Robot Garage to experience all those kind of aha moments where things click, or even just the moments where kids realize they can have a lot of fun learning about math and science without going through the traditional rote memory learning of being in the classroom?
You said it. I mean, we have this corny expression. We want to give every customer child an aha moment every day, but that goes for us too. Those aha moments are contagious. And, it's interesting, even with the labor shortages right after COVID and all of that, we somehow managed to keep our core staff, thankfully, and have a really amazing group of people. I think kids, young people I think everyone's looking for meaning in what they do now and at work. And the Robot Garage has meaning. Helping kids has meaning. We may never know what kids we've made a difference for in this world, but I think the feeling is we're giving it a good shot every day. It's an interesting thing. I just seeing kids, those eyes open up and seeing it. We have a wow built into every single project we do. So at the end of every step-by-step mechanical project, there's this moment when a child pushes a button or uses a sensor and everything works. And to have that happen and that reward and see that in a child's face is just magical.
More information can be found on these programs so you can experience them with your kids yourself at therobotgarage.com. Therobotgarage.com, the website. You can call them 248-723-9100, 248-713-9100, or email them programs at therobotgarage.com for all the information you need or get your questions answered as well. And Sarah, as we continue on, we know that there's such a focus now in trying to get more young girls and women to go into STEM careers. We think about some of these careers and career fields, and even just STEM interest in general tends to be more of a boys' club, but there's growing interest from girls and growing interest from women to be in these professions. How does that become a focus, or how do you utilize your business and what you do to help elevate some of these girls into these areas of interest and tap into those interests they may have and show them they can turn these into careers?
Right. So, oh man, I think of the best things we've done over the past 10 years in that area are with partnerships. We partnered for many years with the Girl Scouts of Southeast Michigan to do a robotics day with First in Michigan. For a long time. That was a great program. The kids would come in, the troops would come in with their moms, and we would challenge them to build sumo robots and compete in battle with them. We've worked with some of the really generous foundations in the Detroit community have sponsored programs where we'll go in and do like an all-girls robotics camp. One of the things we see on site at our locations is by the time you get to middle school, it's probably 80% or more boys, not girls. And I had a daughter who wanted to do robotics enough that she was okay walking into a classroom like that and being the only girl or one of the only two girls. But that's a really hard ask of a young woman, especially a middle school girl or an upper elementary school girl. So one of the things we found is when we can isolate like a whole week for summer camp for only girls at all ages, there's a whole different dynamic that goes on there that is nurturing and that lets girls feel safe and comfortable exploring things they might not feel comfortable exploring in a room where they're one of the only females. We bring into a program like that, we'll bring in a mentor from the business community, from the STEM community. It could be a scientist, an engineer at one of the car companies. We love to partner real life engineers with a project that's age appropriate so that a child can really envision themselves doing what the person talking to them is doing in real life.
That is Sarah Jacobs from the Robot Garage. That full interview from a previous edition of the Megacast is on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Just click on watch full interviews and scroll down until you'll see the Robot Garage, or search the Robot Garage on civiccentertv.com to learn more information. That does it for this Thursday edition of the Megacast. You can always find us, as I said, online on civiccentertv.com/megacast, where today's episode and interviews will be posted sometime mid to late afternoon. And you can always find all of our other previous shows right there at this time, as well as links to all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State and more of their original programming as well. Huge thank you to our great crew at the office of My Michigan TV, Calvin Brown and Jared Clark at the controls today. That will be it for today's program. We'll return soon with new editions of the Megacast.